the invisible architecture of power for the day. Billions of people wake up, go to work, trade goods, earn wages, pay taxes, and spend money. It feels natural, automatic, almost mechanical. But here's the uncomfortable question. Who designed the system that decides what your labor is worth, what your currency can buy, and how entire nations rise or fall? Is the global economy a free-flowing marketplace driven by supply and demand, or is it a carefully engineered structure built over centuries of power shifts, crises, and strategic decisions? To understand where we are today, rising debt, inflation cycles, trade wars, digital currencies, we have to understand how global economic systems were built, and more importantly, who benefited when they broke. Part 1. Origins. From barter to empire before global systems, said were local exchanges. Ancient civilizations relied on barter, then commodity money, grain, salt, silver, gold. Trade routes connected empires. The Silk Road moved goods across continents long before modern banking existed. But the first real shift toward a system began when states realized something powerful. Control the currency, and you control the economy. Empires like Rome debased coins to fund wars. Medieval kingdoms issued sovereign currency. Trade expanded, but monetary authority remained national. Then came the age of exploration. European powers expanded globally, extracting resources and imposing monetary systems on colonies. Gold and silver flowed back to imperial centers, creating early versions of global imbalances. The system was no more longer local, it was imperial. Part 2. The gold standard. Stability or constraint. By the 19th century, global trade required something more stable. Enter the gold standard. Currencies were pegged to gold. Governments promised convertibility. Exchange rates stabilized. International trade flourished. This system gave the illusion of discipline, but it also created rigidity. If a country faced recession, it could not easily expand money supply without risking gold reserves. Monetary policy was constrained by metal stored in vaults. During economic shocks, nations faced a choice: protect gold or protect jobs. When World War erupted, many countries abandoned the gold standard to finance military spending. After the war, attempts to restore it created deflationary pressure. Then came the Great Depression. Countries clung to gold, tightened money, and deepened collapse. Only after abandoning gold did recovery begin. The lesson was clear: stability can become fragility when flexibility disappears. Part 3. Bretton Woods. Global order. After World War II, leaders wanted to avoid another depression. In 1944, delegates met in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. The result was a new system anchored by the US dollar, which was convertible to gold at $35 per ounce. Other currencies pegged to the dollar. The United States emerged as the center of the system, economically dominant, gold-rich, and politically powerful. Institutions were born: the International Monetary Fund to stabilize currencies, the World Bank to finance reconstruction and development. For decades, Bretton Woods provided growth and relative stability. But beneath the surface, tension built. As global trade expanded, the world needed more dollars. The United States supplied them by running deficits. More dollars meant more global liquidity, but it also meant fewer gold reserves per dollar outstanding. The system depended on trust, and trust has limits. Part 4. Banding 1971. The break in 1971. Facing rising inflation and shrinking gold reserves, President Richard Nixon ended dollar convertibility into gold. The gold window closed. The world entered the era of fiat currency. Money was no more longer tied to metal. It was backed by government credibility. Exchange rates floated. Central banks gained unprecedented power. This was not just a policy shift. It was a transformation of the global economic system. Now, countries could expand money supply without gold constraints. Debt could grow faster. Financial markets could expand dramatically. Flexibility increased. So did leverage. Part 5. The rise of financialization. From the 1980s onward, global markets liberalized. Capital flowed across borders. Derivatives expanded. Banks grew larger and more interconnected. The financial sector became a dominant force in advanced economies. Manufacturing declined in some nations. Debt rose: household debt, corporate debt, sovereign debt. Global supply chains stretched across continents. Production became international. Emerging economies industrialized rapidly. China integrated into the global trade system. Consumption in the West fueled production in the East. The system became deeply interdependent, efficient, but fragile. Part 6. The breaking point. 2008. The 2008 financial crisis exposed the vulnerabilities. Mortgage-backed securities, leverage, and complex derivatives collapsed under their own weight. Banks failed. Credit froze. Trade contracted. Central banks intervened aggressively. The Federal Reserve slashed rates and launched quantitative easing. Other central banks followed. Liquidity flooded markets. The system survived, but at a cost. Debt levels rose even higher. Asset prices recovered faster than wages. Inequality widened. The crisis revealed a pattern. When the system breaks, monetary expansion becomes the fix. Part 7. Modern parallels debt and digitalisation today. Global debt exceeds $300 trillion. Governments borrow heavily. Corporations refinance constantly. Households rely on credit. Central banks balance inflation against recession risks. Trade tensions rise. Supply chains fragment. Digital currencies emerge. More than 100 countries are exploring central bank digital currencies. The system evolves but the pattern remains. Expansion, imbalance, correction, intervention. Every major shift creates new strengths and new weaknesses. The gold standard created rigidity. Fiat money enabled flexibility and needed growth. Financial globalization created efficiency and contagion risk. Digitalization promises speed and surveillance concerns. Global economic systems are not static. They are responses to crises. And the crises reshape them. Part 8. The repeating cycle closely at history and UC repetition. Pertama, a system promises stability. Kedua, growth accelerates. Ketiga, imbalances build quietly. Keempat, a shift exposes weakness. Kelima, policymakers intervene. Keenam, a new system emerges. Each cycle expands central coordination. Each crisis increases institutional power. Each reform solves old problems while planting seeds for new ones. The question is not whether the global system will change again. It's when and how. Final section, Seriklir Takawai 1. Economic systems are designed not natural, they are built through agreements, power structures, and political decisions. They evolve through crises. Kedua, flexibility always trades off with stability. Gold limited expansion but constrained response. Fiat enables response but increases leverage. Every system balances discipline and risk. Ketiga, crises accelerate structural change. Wars ended gold. Depression reshaped monetary policy. 2008 expanded central bank power. The next crisis may redefine digital money or global trade again. A final so the global economy feels permanent, but history suggests it's transitional. The structures we rely on today, floating currencies, central bank liquidity, massive sovereign debt, would have seemed radical a century ago. And what replaces them may seem radical to us now. Understanding the system is not about predicting collapse. It's about recognizing patterns before they repeat. Call to action if you want to understand money, debt, central banking, and the power structures shaping global finance. Subscribe for more deep investigations into economic history and the hidden systemic dynamics. Because the global economic system isn't just numbers on a screen. It's the framework that shapes opportunity, stability, and the power in the modern world. And the next shift may already be underway.